From the guy with the golden foot who shocked the world of football to the man whose goal created a new rule, these are 20 football facts that will make you rethink everything. Of course, you know that John Terry was one of the best defenders of his era, just as Andres Iniesta was one of the best attacking midfielders too. But did you know that Iniesta has nothing on JT when it comes to goal scoring? Hard to believe, but true. Terry, who scored 41 league goals for Chelsea, has bagged more of them than Iniesta, who scored only 35 league goals for Barcelona. To make Iniesta's poor goal-scoring form more shameful, Terry has scored more than 65 goals in all competitions throughout his professional career, while playing from the defensive position. Speaking of goal-scoring, it's not always done on the pitch. You can ask Sir Alex Ferguson, who scored a huge one when he began dating Trent Alexander-Arnold's grandmother back in the good old days. The former Manchester United manager revealed in his autobiography that Trent's grandmother was actually his very first girlfriend. Would you believe that? They never got married, but their relationship did last for about 18 months, so you can tell they were serious about it, just as Fergie and Trent are serious about football. One man who was definitely serious about football was Neil Armstrong, the first astronaut to land on the moon. Now, did you know that Neil wanted to take a ball to the moon and leave it there along with the American flag? Unfortunately, NASA wasn't interested in having anything un-American taken on such a historic trip. Who knew that many decades later, the MLS would become a huge part of American culture? Here's another interesting fact. Did you know that Manchester United's Bruno Fernandes has never missed a club game due to injury? Fernandes has to be the fittest player in Europe right now, as he's only missed 4 matches thanks to illness, but not injury. So, as long as he can keep dodging those dangerous, injury-causing tackles, then you can always expect to see him in the next Manchester United or Portugal match. Still, on Fernandes, the next interesting fact in our video is absolutely crazy. Bruno Fernandes has actually missed more penalties in his entire career than he has missed games. I guess that's what you get by taking too many PKs and missing very few matches. One man who's not used to missing goals is Lionel Messi, as he's Argentina's all-time leading scorer, as well as Barcelona's all-time leading scorer. He's been scoring too many goals for too many years, but did you know that in 2012 alone, Messi scored a jaw-dropping 91 goals? All this came in one calendar year, and by doing so, he smashed Gerd Muller's long-lasting record of 85 goals in a single year. Now, I'm sure you're wondering what Messi's main rival, Cristiano Ronaldo, was doing while Messi was accomplishing this feat. That takes us to the next interesting football fact. Would you believe that while Messi was scoring 91 goals in a single year, CR7 was busy missing them? Yes, Ronaldo took exactly 130 more shots than Messi in the same year of 2012, but for some reason, he couldn't convert as much as the only man stopping him from being called the GOAT. But we can't be too harsh on CR7 for missing all those shots, because our next interesting fact shows just how good a goal scorer the Portuguese captain is. Since turning 30, Ronaldo has scored more than 376 goals. That's more than what Carlos Tevez, Didier Drogba, Wayne Rooney, and Fernando Torres scored in their entire careers. And if you pause and think about it, you would realize that the strikers I just mentioned are among the greatest in the world. Speaking of scoring, legendary Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard pulled off a scoring feat no other player has been able to replicate. Believe it or not, but Stevie G is the only player in history to score in a League Cup final, an FA Cup final, a Champions League final, and a Europa League final. He's certainly a big game player, and this scoring record might be impossible to break. Another scoring record that seems too good to be true is AC Milan's 36 goals in an entire season. But wait, What's so special about a whole team scoring just 36 goals in a full season? Well, AC Milan won the league that season with those measly 36 goals. And thanks to their rock-solid defense, who conceded just 15 goals, they ended the campaign with a commendable plus 21 goal difference. What makes AC Milan's 36-goal tally sound silly is the fact that Erling Haaland alone scored more than 36 goals for Manchester City last season. Sounds crazy, right? Well, Haaland is a big fan of this channel, so you gotta hit the subscribe button to be like the Norwegian goal machine. Moving on, and one man who's about to make our number 10 spot pretty interesting is Ronald Koeman, the legendary Barcelona defender who is loved by everyone at Camp Nou. But what did he do that was so great? Well, Koeman, who played as a defender his entire career, scored an astonishing 250-plus goals for Barcelona, which makes him one of the highest-scoring defenders of all time. And to rub salt in the wound, Koeman has scored more goals than Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, and Casemiro put together. And considering that these three midfielders all played for Madrid at one point in their careers, it makes Koeman's statistics more delicious for Barcelona fans. Speaking of the Barcelona and Real Madrid rivalry, here's something you need to know. The first two presidents of Los Blancos were not even from Madrid, they were from Catalonia. Their names were Carlos Padros and Juan Padros, and they were both born in Barcelona of all places. I'm sure this is one bit of information that the current Real Madrid president, Florentino Perez, would like to forget about. Now, one fact we can't forget is that Chelsea is the only club in history to hold two European Cups at the same time. So, how did they manage to do this? Well, it's really simple. Chelsea won the Champions League in 2012, but crashed out of the group stages into the Europa League the following season. Then they won the Europa League final on May 15th, while waiting for the Champions League final to be played on May 25th. Until then, it meant that for just 10 days, Chelsea were the holders of their newly won Europa League trophy, as well as the UEFA Champions League trophy they won a season before. Speaking of things happening at the same time, Harry Maguire has been relegated twice in the same season. Hull City sent him out on loan to play for Wigan in the Championship. Unfortunately, Wigan were relegated to League One, so he returned to Hull that same season to help them survive relegation from the Premier League. But they didn't, and he became the only player to have been relegated twice in the same season. In total, Maguire's been relegated 4 times. Now, did you know that when Jermaine Defoe was still playing for Tottenham, he once stepped out of his car to play football with a bunch of young lads on the streets of London? As Harry Kane would later reveal in an interview, he was one of those young lads. Speaking of Tottenham, did you know that the great Diego Maradona once played for them? Tottenham never signed him, but his fellow Argentine, Ossi Ardiles, was a legend at the London club. And during his testimonial match, he invited Maradona to play. Yes, Maradona wore Tottenham's jersey and dazzled the 30,000 fans at White Hart Lane with all the tricks in his bag. Another interesting football fact that had a little twist of fate stems from back in the days when Blackburn Rovers had just won the English Premier League and were showing interest in signing Zinedine Zidane. But at the last minute, Blackburn's chairman, Jack Walker, decided to sign Tim Sherwood instead. He actually said, "Who needs Zidane when we've got Sherwood?" We all know how both players' careers turned out years later. Now, as far as careers go, did you know that German keeper Manuel Neuer is also a voice actor? One of his biggest roles was in Disney's German version of their hit animated film Monsters, where Neuer voiced the role of Frank McKay. Shocking, but not nearly as shocking as our number 2 fact. When Kai Havertz was 22, he had scored more goals than Lionel Messi when the Argentine was the exact same age. At that age, Havertz had scored 85 professional goals with 45 assists, while a 22-year-old Messi had scored just 80 goals. Of course, Messi would go on to become one of the most potent goal scorers in the world, while Havertz, Well, let's just say age is still on his side, and he can only try his best. Speaking of scoring goals, our number one interesting football fact has to do with one of the best goal scorers in history. It's Cristiano Ronaldo, who surprisingly has never scored a goal in the knockout stages of any World Cup he's played in. But hey, that ain't nothing compared to the time a goalkeeper's save caused chaos. Man, goalkeepers are the worst. So click this video, man,